Hi Freddie, the first thing I'm going to talk about is shutter speed. Shutter speed, the normal shutter speed for a video is 1/60th of a second. Higher shutter speed sharpens up the image, but you do need a bit of motion blur just to make it look realistic, because our eyes, like my hand there, is blurring, because that's the way our eyes see it. And this makes the relationship between frame to frame better and makes it appear less jarring. Now on to f-stops. F-stops are controlled by the iris, which acts as a sort of gateway, letting light in and out of the camera. If you use a high f-stop number, the iris will be very small, like you can see there, and then if you use a high f-stop number, the hole gets a lot bigger and lets a lot more light in, as you can see there. F-stops link directly to depth of field, which is basically what's in focus and what's out of focus. So if I was to have a small f-stop, I could have my finger there in focus, and then my face would be all blurry because it'd be out of focus. And yeah, that's depth of field. Like, you could have the background out of focus and me in focus to make a better shot. Focal length is the distance from optical center of the lens to the focal plane of the video. When the lens is focused to infinity, focal length is measured in millimeters. In the case of lenses with mixed focal length, we can talk about 10mm lens, 20mm lens, 100mm lens, etc. Zoom ratio is defined by focal length. If max zoom is 10mm to 100mm, it has a 10:1 ratio. Zoom ratio, sorry. Prime lenses don't zoom, obviously, but they produce a much sharper picture and better quality. Right, onto lighting. With the most common type of lighting is 3-point lighting, where you've got the key light, the fill light, and the backlight. The key light is your primary source of light. The fill light is your secondary source of light, and it's normally 50% lower down than the key light. It's also positioned opposite the key light to sort of even up the person's face in case there's any shadows coming from anywhere. Diffusers for lighting. Right, I've got a light here, which if I just switch on like that, right, you can see there, obviously the light there is a lot brighter. I've got just a piece of paper. If I put that over the top, diffuses the light, so it's not so strong, it's not so harsh. If you see that, and bam, that light, that paper's, it's not ideal. Should, like, tracing paper or a proper diffuser would be a lot better. But you can still see what I'm getting at: hard light, soft light, hard light, soft light. Lighting plays a huge part in filming different people. Like, if you're filming someone with darker skin, you need to make sure you use more soft light on them, with preferably the light source set closer to the individual with softer light. Yeah, this helps it spread out and get all the face. And another good thing to use when filming people with dark skin is reflectors, because it it reflects back onto the skin, and it will give a softer sort of look to it, and that's effective as well. Right, sound. When recording sound for filming, you need to think what's going to be best for the specific event you're filming, really, because it changes, differs from each one. The three most common types of microphones are the shotgun mic, which also known as boom mic, 'cause you put it on a boom pole. It's great for sort of pinpointing exactly where you want the noise to come, because it's sort of directioned towards that. The problem with it though is audio interference from like other external sources. The next type of microphone is the handheld microphones. You get this like TV presenters and stuff like that. Stuff where there's more sort of an active role, and they've got to be maybe moving around a bit, and yeah, a bit running about, sort of like a classic TV presenter really. Last type of common microphone is the lapel microphones. These are the tiny ones which you just clip onto like your shirt or your tie, or like, you know, wherever you can, just so it's hidden. You know, they're ideal because they're not really that noticeable for like TV interviews and stuff like that. They're pretty good. They like give really consistent audio levels as well, which is good. Like, microphones gather sound in different ways. It's three basic audio patterns. Right, you've got the omnidirectional, which is great all-purpose mic. Sorry, gathers sound from all directions. Camcorders normally have one of these built in. So in like DSLRs and stuff like that, they normally will have one built in, but they're not very good for filming like professionally. You then got unidirectional mics, which are great for focusing on like specific sound, or sort of ambient noise or ambient sound. Then you've got cardioid mics, which gets its name from looking heart-shaped. But anyway, the mic picks up sound from the sides of the microphone, and also a bit behind. You get these like when they're good for things like if you're recording sort of like drums or something. They're quite good for music, because you get yeah, you can also get wireless mics nowadays, and they just give you limitless options as well. Really, they're you know, they're a bit, with anything like that, they're a bit complicated to set up and stuff like that. But in the long term, they'll be the big ones, I think. Anyway, that's right, Freddie. Histograms, right? Histograms are they show the distribution of values over a range in imagery in film and video and photography. You know, pictures and films are made out of pixels, obviously, which all have a value of how light and dark they are, from 0 to 255. 0 is complete blackness, darkness even. 255 is complete whiteness. You can see how many pixels are absolutely black or white, or wherever they are in between on your histogram. You can see whether the image has more light or dark values, or what it sort of looks like. I've drawn a histogram here. It's not very good at all drawing. Please mind my drawing skills. Right, and over here on the left of the page for me anyway, you've got all the sort of black, the value of the black pixels there here, so that shows how many black, and it goes over, and as it goes over you get then the white over here. So it's like a graph, but with just the lines make it look a bit mad, and my picture's not a very good representation, but that is histograms. Post-production. Well, Edward Porter was the first person to do anything in sort of post, and that was in 1904. All he did was really just intercutting shots that weren't really related to each other. You know, that was the first use you know, it's progressed so much since then. Post-production, right. There's a few different editing programs which include Final Cut, Avid and Premiere. Editing can be used to create certain emotions within the audience. Like jump cuts are used to draw attention to a shot. You also get sort of quick cuts as well in films to create sort of build up of tension and suspense. You also have flash frames, which are just one single frame, and it's used for subliminal messages. Sometimes when filming, you want to create a false sort of reality, and by doing this you use what is called invisible editing. So it's harder for the viewer to detect and notice the obvious, which would be normally obvious edits. We can use editing in films to create, to show the viewer sort of relationships between one another, and also build up sort of like character stereotypes of each individual. You've got the Kuleshov effect, which creates a juxtaposition, which links two images together. You could have sort of a shot of my head and then go off to, I don't know, like a boiled egg or something. And because it's sort of similar sort of shape, you can get away with that. You've got like offline edits, which is sort of like a rough cut, and it's unfinished like edit, which is used. And then you've got the online edit, which is more technical and make sure it's good enough quality to be out there and to be released. Right, health and safety. When filming, there's obviously a lot of health and safety hazards that can go wrong. Things that you need to watch out for are things like wires on the ground. If you can, make sure they're all taped to the ground to avoid any accidents. Really, it's just better safe than sorry. Yeah, it's one of the things. Another thing would be lights in the studio. They get like ridiculously hot, so you need to make sure you obviously never touch it directly, and that and make sure that it has a sort of protective cover over it, so if the light were to overheat and blow up, it wouldn't hurt anyone and no one gets hurt. It's all just to keep everyone safe. Lights again, when you're filming you need to watch out for them, because if you could get electric shock from one of them, because if you've got the pole and if you need to touch it with the back of your hand, and like, so the pole's here, you need to touch it with the back of your hand in case you do get electric shock. So if you're touching like that way, because you get electric shock, you'll like seize up and grab it, and obviously that's not going to end well for anyone. Obviously when using any electrical equipment with health and safety, you've got to make sure not to get electrocuted, which probably easier said than done in some cases, but like you know, you can't be messing around with plugs and switches and stuff like that. You know, also I was thinking another thing for health and safety is don't change plan all of a sudden, and don't be a little beaver and do it all on your own, as the video that you, or Freddie, I'm assuming you're watching this, showed us at the start of the year with the TV presenter when she's sitting on the back of a haystack, and the director had told her to sit there, and the fireworks man, don't know, but the health and safety man didn't know about it, so when the fireworks did go off, it just went straight in the back of her head, and of course that director never really worked in the industry properly again by the sounds of it. Another thing with health and safety is to fill out a risk assessment if necessary, because you don't want to be liable for anything that goes wrong, because you want to show that you've gone through the necessary procedures in order to that you are safe and you're not gonna make any mistakes really. So yeah, that's vital. It's also a legal document as well, so that's a must.